Hi, I'm Bybreen and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my textured take on the world of astrology. Well, on October the 30th, there is a new moon that takes place in Scorpio. So we have the sun and the moon forming a conjunction, and then alongside it we have Mercury, which has also moved into Scorpio. And all three of them form a wide sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. So this is a very deep and powerful signature. The reason being is because you're being called on three levels to transform yourself. So the sun represents your ego, moon represents your emotions, and then Mercury is representing your psyche. And so there's some level of transformation that needs to take place. And because we have three of the 5 personal planets in Scorpio, it's a really pronounced time for transformation. So there's this myth of Dr. Faustus, and he meets Mephistopheles. Now Faustus was a philosopher and he was studying theology. And he wanted to find out the mystery, the meaning and the magic of life, but he wanted to find out through his own experiences as opposed to relying on the word of somebody else. So he jettisoned his theology and went off into the wilderness and met Mephistopheles. Met him along his journey. Now Mephistopheles was a representative of the devil, the dark side. And Faustus was actually seeking the light side. So this myth is a metaphor in terms of how you're able to manage the light and the dark in your life. Anyway, along the journey they went and they cut a deal. And the deal was that Mephistopheles would support Faustus in this life, and then Faustus would support Mephistopheles in the next life. But Faustus didn't recognize the price he would have to pay, meaning he'd have to give up his soul to Mephistopheles. Anyway, they struck the deal and he was being illuminated in so many different ways. Then along came Gretchen. Gretchen met with Faustus, she became pregnant, and Faustus abandoned her. And in the pain of all of that, she committed suicide. Faustus didn't even turn back to look at the devastation that he had created. Off he went on this journey of trying to find out the meaning of life. But the more he went on the journey was his recognition of how much of himself that he had actually sold to the devil. And underlying all of that was the recognition of this deep, profound love that he had for Gretchen, and the deep remorse and the deep regret. And so here he was battling with the light side and the dark side. And so what he wanted to do was to move from darkness into light. And what he held on to was this sense of love that he had, the recognition of his own actions, and the ability to face the consequences of his own actions. And by doing so, he was able to extricate himself away from Mephistopheles, away from that grip, and move forward into the light. So use this myth as a metaphor to manage how you begin to manage those different forces and different appeals and different ways of expression in your life. Once you're able to come through the dark side of life and move into the light, then we have Venus, and Venus is forming a conjunction with Saturn in Sagittarius. Now this is a beautiful signature because here Venus is representing your values, and Saturn in Sagittarius are around your belief systems, your own personal philosophies. Now Faustus started out wanting to find out the mysteries of life, but he ceded his power to other people. So here it's about believing, having the confidence in your beliefs and truly valuing it, and Saturn will help you to structure those values. Alongside this we have Jupiter, and Jupiter is forming a sextile with Saturn. So here again the signature is being supported in a really positive way. So this abundant, exuberant life, this vision that you have for your life can be realized. Go ahead and take the risk because you've got Saturn here, and here it's about cautious optimism. Saturn anchors Jupiter here, and because it's a sextile, it's a very positive way that you can move forward with your plans. However, Jupiter is being challenged, and Jupiter is being challenged by Neptune. And so here Neptune wants to diffuse the dreams, diffuse the ambition, and it throws potentially a spanner in the works. It's making you potentially question, the dream that you have for your life, is it realistic? Is it realistic? And now's the time for you to reflect on that, because what you don't want to do is to overpromise and under-deliver. So with this Neptune, there's a possibility of your ideals and your values and your dreams being diffused, or you having some level of confusion. But don't, because you've got a wonderful connection here with Mars, which is squaring Uranus. Mars is exalted because it's in Capricorn, so it's now the time for you to roll up your sleeves and get to work on this big vision. But what we have is a clash between convention, because it's in Capricorn, and we have invention or innovation, which is coming from Aries. And because Uranus is in Aries, there's this tug going on. But you don't have to wrestle with this. It's about recognizing you've got work to do, but it's not about following the tried and tested ways in which you've done it in the past. It's more about what inventions can you bring about to bring about this new dream. So use Uranus here. Now we're seeing Uranus being flagged up again because Pluto is squaring Uranus. Now back in the 60s, Pluto formed a conjunction with Uranus, and this is where real revolution took place. So we had sexual revolution, racial revolution, and political revolution. Now these themes are being mirrored again here in 2016. So we've got issues of gender identity. So for example, Obama has tried to pass this new policy whereby in terms of people who identify differently around their gender. But he's issued this policy whereby people can use, or students can use, either set of toilets, because it's about the recognition of people who are gender fluid. Now this has caused some backlash in the States, and so there's now been an injunction placed upon this policy. So first it was initiated in Texas, but then it's been spread throughout the US. So here's an example of gender identity coming under scrutiny and being challenged. And then there's racial revolution that took place in the 60s and has continued since then, but we've seen it magnified here in 2016 and over the last couple of years. For example, the unlawful killings of black men in America and the Black Lives Matter campaign. Recently, the corporate giant Ben & Jerry's have come out to support the campaign because there's this recognition that the injustices are robbing us of our humanity. And then there's political revolution that we're seeing taking place, particularly with regards to the US presidential election. There's so much going on there, I don't even know where to start. But there have been shocks and surprises, because when we've got Pluto and Uranus, Pluto wants to destroy and transform and bring about some type of rebirth. But Uranus is saying, given it's a square that's taking place now, it's got to be done in an unconventional way. So within your own life, what needs to be pulled apart, and then what will enable you to show yourself in a very unique way. Then lastly, we have Saturn, and then Saturn is forming a lovely trine to Uranus. And so once you've come through all of this type of evolution, once you've been able to take up the gauntlet that's been thrown down, where you've got the structure of Saturn, here again, backing up this sense of confidence and authority around your beliefs. And then it's forming this trine to Uranus. And Uranus is about, the new way, the inventive way, the fresh way, the unique way in which you can start to paint your own canvas. So, with this new moon, it's a powerful time for transformation, so don't miss the opportunity. Which brings me to the quote of the day, and it comes from James Baldwin. And what he said is this: people find it far easier to cry than it is to change. And the question of the day is, what are you going to do to begin balancing or managing the lightness in your life and the darkness in your life in order to bring about inner peace? As always, I love to connect with you. Put your answers and comments in the comment box below. Feel free to share this episode with other people in your network, and you can like and subscribe to my channel. And if you would like a personal reading, feel free to drop me an email at bybreensamuels@googlemail.com, and so we can kickstart that process, and I will put those details in the comment box below. And so, this new moon in Scorpio, don't miss the opportunity to lead your transformation. And until then, I will see you again on the next episode.